Hey, everybody, it's AJ here with Van Ryder Games. We're so happy to be here today. This is our Behind the Cards segment for Enemies and Lovers. And why is it called Behind the Cards? Because we're going to talk to the people responsible for this fantastic game and the world behind it. And that is Holly Black and Solenne Songer, who are here with me today. I know we're meeting lots of fans and people who are new to our brand, but we're super excited to have you all here and learn more about what we're doing here with Enemies and Lovers. So I'll turn it over to you, Holly, to introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
I'm Holly Black. I've written 30-ish books, many of them, I think probably all of them, dark fantasy, and many of them to do with fairies.
Which is why we're here today and why we have this amazing game. Okay, and we have Solenne Songer, who is the illustrator and artist for the game. Welcome, Solenne, if you want to tell everyone about yourself.
Hi, my name is Solenne Songer. I'm also known as Frostbite Studios if you're on the internet, and I'm a freelance illustrator. I do mostly book-related stuff, fantasy stuff, and yeah, that's me.
Awesome. So we are going to get into some questions and some conversation about Enemies and Lovers, how it came together. If you don't know, this game is themed in Holly's world, Holly's Elfhame series, which is some of the fairy novels she's been talking about. And so we're going to get into all of that together. So let's jump in. So the first question, Holly, is for you. And it's tell us about the moment the idea for this game came to you, and kind of what was the sort of aha moment, and then how did that go from an idea sort of to a game?
So I've been talking to some people about potentially doing having Folk of the Air sort of skinning a game, right? And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, oh, it would be really cool to actually have an original game. And I have a couple friends who've made their own games, and I thought, oh, I should reach out to them. And then I thought, wait, I know games and I play games. What would it be like? Like, what if I just gave it a try? And I happened to be, I think I was on tour for maybe Solenne at the time. And because I was out on the road and there was nothing else that I could do, I started reading sort of game theory stuff, and I started thinking about what that game could look like. And by the time I came home, I had an idea, and that idea was bad. but it taught me a ton about how to sort of move it in the direction of something that could actually work as a game.
Awesome. And so you had that idea, you have a background because you play, I think, a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and other games.
I started in 6th grade with the old red box.
Me too.
First, and played all through high school and college. Met my husband through Dungeons and Dragons. We were rival dungeon masters. And then I started going to conventions. I wrote for a while and edited a tiny gaming magazine during the time when sort of White Wolf was ascendant, and then toward the period where Magic took over, and we started getting like a flood of card games like Anomone and Legend of the Five Rings. And then I kind of went away for a while, and though I played games, I was mostly writing. But then I have a 12-year-old kid now, and he was probably about 9 when we were working on Enemies and Lovers in the first sort of iteration. And, playing games with him gave me a whole different perspective on them. Like, looking at the mechanics of something like Exploded Kittens and sort of thinking of it then again in a very different way.
Very cool. And we're gonna get to Solenne here in a second. The first few questions are definitely for you, Holly, and so because we're kind of learning about this game and this world, and so I wanted to ask, with the vast world you've created with such interesting characters and lore, can you tell us a little bit about integrating those characters and everything in the world you've created in this wonderful fantasy fairy world? Those of us who have read the books have come to love. Tell us a little bit about kind of integrating that into the card game.
Well, I think that was the fun part. And that was the thing I most wanted to do, was have something that could feel a little bit like Elfhame. And so I wanted to have a game mechanic that could suggest alliances, that could suggest romantic alliances, that could suggest manipulative romantic alliances. And because there's a lot of twists and turns in the books, I really wanted to kind of lean into the gotcha, stuff, especially because I knew how popular it was in my house. Um, and so those are some of the things that I thought, if I can bring these together, it will be a fun game that you can play without knowing anything about the world, which was my goal, especially because I was playing it with my son, but also would feel like the game, um, in ways that would be, specific to people who knew it, but also like it would still have that texture.
Yeah, I think you accomplished that amazingly well. I kind of think about it like the players are kind of the puppet masters, kind of pulling the strings in the background, which is what you do as the author, right? Like you, for the books, as the author, this is what you're doing. So as players, we now get to sort of, in a way, do that ourselves, with the card game, which is really cool. I think you, what's
Yeah.
that?
You can retell it a little bit, right? If you didn't like how
Right.
something turned out, you like somebody better, you can put them together. You can have, bad guys can win. Anything can
Absolutely.
happen.
Yeah, and you can almost envision, like at the end of the game, whatever the winning court is, you can kind of envision the story that went along with that. That may be, completely different from the outcomes of the books. So that's great. Was there anything, really exhilarating or daunting that you found in terms of kind of translating the content of the novels into the game itself?
I mean, I think it was exhilarating to be able to do something I was bad at initially. Like there was something really, really fun about not knowing what I was doing and actually having to figure it out. Um, it's not that I don't often feel like I don't know what I'm doing when I'm in the middle of a book, but it's a different kind of thing. Like this felt really like I was learning something, and I was learning something that I had had one perspective on, and now I was learning it from the inside. And I definitely found myself spending a lot of time working on this when I was supposed to be working on other things because I was just having so much fun.
That's great. Now, you've got this game idea. You have this idea, you started testing it. At some point, you get to the point where you need art, right? And so I want to know, like, how did your collaboration with Solenne begin? What drew you to her artistic approach? And really, like, how did you guys get connected? And you can start, and then maybe we can get Solenne's perspective as well.
So I first saw, I think, Solenne's artwork on Pinterest, and I loved it so much. And I thought, oh, it'll read really beautifully. And so I really I just fully was like, I have found someone that I now need to stalk to their lair, and hopefully I can convince them to, come on board. And the thing is, I mean, our work is beautiful. I knew it was beautiful, but I was unprepared actually for how beautiful it would all be in its final iteration.
Okay, Solenne, guess what? It's your turn. Now that we've heard how you guys got connected, you mentioned in the beginning about Frostbite Studios, and that's sort of your I don't know, your company or your working sort of title. Can you tell us about how Frostbite Studios came about, and a little bit, I guess, about your personal journey as an artist?
Absolutely. Yeah, Frostbite Studios, yeah, it's kind of like my alter ego. Like by day, I'm a normal girl. By night, I'm Frostbite Studios. But the the actual account name, Frostbite Studios, I get questions about like, why Frostbite Studios? Why not just your name? It was actually kind of a really nerdy evolution, if I'm being totally honest. So I first had the name, I think it was Frostbite, because I read this book series called Wings of Fire when I was really young, like 11 is when I first got on Instagram. So kind of understand this is juvenile mindset. But the name Frostbite came from, I was like imagining myself in this Wings of Fire world, which is like a dragon world. And I was like, oh, if I was a dragon in this world, my name would be Frostbite and I would be like an ice dragon. And so it started off like that, pretty nerdy. Um, And then eventually I was like, well, Frostbite doesn't really make sense anymore because I'm mostly just posting my art, not really dragon stuff anymore. So I added on studios because it felt more professional and artistic. And since then, it's just kind of become my brand, and I don't feel like I can change it now. So I'm glad it wasn't something, it could have been worse, right? Like it could have been like I Heart Dogs 876 or something like that. So I got pretty lucky. But yeah, I started posting my artwork online, and I guess people liked it. And over time, I amassed a following and was granted amazing opportunities from amazing people like Holly. So yeah.
That's awesome. I think people liked it as an understatement. I think people love it. And your following is a testament of that to that. So how did you approach developing the unique visual style found in Enemies and Lovers? And I guess maybe going back a little bit, because Holly's you found her artwork. Had Solenne, had you already done some fan art of sort of the Elfhame world, or Holly, was it just other art you found and you knew you wanted to work with Solenne? How did that kind of, was some of that already out there, or did it all come about as part of Enemies and Lovers?
It was a picture of Cardin, the one I saw.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, I think I had a couple pieces that I had done as a fan of the books. I was an OG fan.
So you were there, you were pretty much there from the beginning. So the first book came out, you read it, loved it, and wanted to sort of draw some of the characters.
Yeah, I don't think I read it quite right when it came out. I was a little late to the game, but I was definitely like, team, I love this series before Holly reached out to me. I couldn't believe it when she did. I was like, oh my gosh, is this real? Is this a scam?
That's amazing. Yeah. Am I getting catfished?
Exactly.
That's funny. Yeah. Very cool. So can you walk us through your process a little bit? Both of you tell us a little bit how it went? Did you rely mostly on kind of art briefs from Holly, or the kind of depictions in the book, or both? Kind of talk to us a little bit about bringing the characters, that everyone loves from the novels to life in artistic form, illustrative form.
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, I would get, sort of what Holly wanted. She would tell me like, okay, for this card, we kind of want it to feature Jude and Oak or Maddock or whatever she wanted. And so I'd be like, all right, cool. And obviously like the title or the ability of the card would influence that a little. So if it was like, oh, stabbed in the front, then I know I'm kind of looking for, getting some gore reference images. Not really, but so then I would take that description and I would obviously go to the books, which were my Bible during this time. I think I listened to them on repeat the entire time I was drawing. So I'd write down things that I read, everything that I think could help me create an image. And then I would go to Pinterest for the most part and see what other people had drawn and interpreted a character as. Because it's sort of interesting how fan art kind of like alters people's perception of a character. Like once an image is like really popular, people start really associating with the character. So I wanted to, sort of honor what people had already drawn as well as have my own fresh take on it. From there, I'd like group all my images, all my descriptions, everything together, and I would start drafting thumbnails, which are like quick little pose ideas for Holly to review. And those are really fun because it's hard when you're taking a character and you're sort of drawing them in just like one pose, one image, but there's so much description and story behind them. And so it was really hard to just choose one single image to tell you everything about one character when in the books, you know so much more about them. And that's where Holly was really helpful because obviously these characters are her children, so she knows them better than anyone. So I would give her anywhere from 20 to like 2 thumbnails, depending on how central the character was. And she would be like, all right, I like this one. If it's a seductive character, like how much skin are we showing? Are they blowing a kiss? Things like that.
They were so hard to choose between. They were so good. Like it would be we would go back and forth being like, well, okay, we want all of these. So which one are we going to pick?
That's so cool. And Holly, I imagine for you, I've been in the position that, I've designed some games too, and you have a visual of what you think this is going to look like. And it's always like exhilarating to get the actual art from the artist. And so what was it like for you kind of seeing that come to life? Like were Solenne's drawing and art, matching kind of what you had in your head, or maybe not, but you were like, oh, wow, this is even better. Like tell us a little bit about when you would get a finished piece, what your feelings were and what was going through your head.
Oh yeah, I mean they absolutely they're very affecting. Like when you actually see a character, and especially when you see them in a new way. And like in particular, I pulled this one out. Like so, this is a guy named the Roach, and Solenne made him staggeringly hot. I feel like his entire trajectory in the fandom has been changed by this single image, which was just incredible to like. It's incredible to see a character like where you see them differently because of it. And then this is Kay, and she is from my very first book, a book called Tithe. And like she has the extra tiny finger digit that she has in that book, and it honestly like made me tear up when I saw it. Like,
that's amazing. Like, see, this is the kind of stuff like we could only learn about from both of you, and that's so. Like, my perspective is, so obviously we started working on the game together. I actually am someone who played the game and learned the game before I started reading the book, so I had the interesting perspective of, I saw the characters as I was reading based on the artwork from the game. So that was like a cool aspect as well. And I think if, we are going to have people get into this game and learn about your novels and your world through the game, and they'll already have this picture of what the characters look like based on Solenne's beautiful artwork. So kind of one more point on sort of the direction, the back and forth you guys had. Was there a moment where like, the narrative direction challenged or inspired you kind of artistically? Solenne, was there ever a time where it's like, oh, this is going to be okay, I'm going to tackle this or I guess just talk a little bit about maybe any of the challenges or hurdles that came up or unexpected parts of the process?
For sure. I would say that obviously Holly's books greatly influenced the way that I drew for this project. One of the things I really wanted to incorporate was nature a lot, because Holly's books are so like beautifully described, and a lot of it has like a lot of natural themes included, especially in like the world of the Fae. So I was like, I want to incorporate as much like nature into it as I can. So I would try and do, really natural feeling shirt patterns, like maybe there's some leaves growing out of the corner or some feathers there, things like that. So that really helped. Obviously, it's sort of gothic fantasy, so I didn't want to do any super bright colors. I tried to keep the palette pretty muted and pretty like natural colors, to honor Holly's sort of darker, like we weren't going to do like hot pinks very much, based on Holly's writing.
Okay, so these next few questions are kind of going to be for both of you as well. The first one being like, how did you guys work together to just ensure consistency? There's the look of everything has a consistent, they're all beautiful in different images and illustrations, but it has like you kind of just touched on it with the colors. Did you guys, was that kind of natural, or did you guys kind of work together to make sure the tone and the feel of the illustrations had that consistent look?
I know we talked a little bit in the beginning about it very generally. And I think that, at least from my perspective, we were lucky because we had the aesthetic of the books as a touchstone. And, to some extent, like Solenne said, there was an established feel of the artwork around it, some of the like merch that we'd done. Like there was a sense of like, okay, there's a lot of gold in this world. I am a silver girly myself. I wear almost exclusively silver joy, but this is clearly a book that is gold. It's all about gold. And so I think there's things like that that made it a little bit faster to have the aesthetic established.
Okay, so now I'm going to put you guys on the spot a little bit. I don't know how easy or hard this question will be to answer, but which character in the game is your favorite overall?
Do you mean like what's our favorite like character, or do you mean like our favorite rendering of the character?
So kind of both. The next question, to give you a little bit of heads up, is going to be which character has your favorite effect. So I would focus, this overall question is, more about the look, or just like if there's one that's just like, Jude is my favorite from the books, so she's my favorite anywhere I see her. That could be the answer, I guess. It honestly can be whatever you want by whatever criteria you want.
Okay, well, I showed you like two of my favorites in terms of the illustration. Obviously, like Jude is probably my favorite overall, which is why she gets 3 books devoted to her.
Right.
But like, this is my favorite Jude. This is the alternate Jude where she's just sitting around putting a knife against her, like just sort of like the knife. I love that part of her.
Yeah. So if you don't know, there was a Kickstarter. Holly kickstarted the first version of this game, and there were 3 alternate pieces of artwork done for 3 of the different characters, and that was one of them.
I do love that. And I remember at some point my son, who also does not know who any of these people are except by their renditions and has a very strange, was going through it and was trying to pick out his 3 who the 3 hottest people in there were. Okay. And I believe Jack and Carter Gordon got a big vote. And one of the lounging Carden, who is in our final game, got a vote. And then the Bomb. I'll see if I can find her.
I love the Bomb.
So these were his top 3 hottest people.
All right. We have those rankings. Everyone else, comment your rankings. What are your 3 hottest characters? That'll be a fun one. I think that's been done probably on some of your posts, Solenne.
The people have let me know. Fun. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, okay. So over to you. Do you have a character that
that's
just
the
like
lounging
stands
Carden,
out?
by the way?
Yes. Yep.
Well, Jude is obviously one of my favorites because she's the main character, right? But I would definitely say that Maddox is definitely up there because I particularly love his dynamic with Jude. He's sort of like this father figure that you hate to love to hate, and you're really never quite sure what he's going to do. He's very morally gray, and I think like me and Holly even talked about this when we were designing him. I had a lot of thumbnail options where he was maybe more violent, more angry, more evil looking. And she was like, we kind of want it to be a little ambiguous. Like, you're not sure, is he on my side? Is he against me? Which really relates back to his character as a whole and to the books. You're never sure if he's gonna betray you. So I love everything about that. And I think he's a really interesting character.
Yeah, spot on. I was going to add some of those points, but you made them all. It's perfect. Yeah. He's 100% like, gosh, whose side is he on? So yeah, that's great. That was captured. Okay, so game effects, and I assume you've played the game, Solenne?
Yes.
Is that a fair assumption? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So like thinking about it from the impact of the game, and I'll give you mine first. How about that as to tee this off? So I discovered after several games the power of Heather. Heather is an extremely powerful card, and I came to realize how big of a deal it is to be able to play a card out of turn, a card to your court specifically out of turn, and potentially win the game, or play a second card during your turn. And so Heather, from a game effect perspective, is my my favorite. So what about you guys?
My son's friend's dad called me to be like, can Heather really be used like that? And I was like, yes. And he was like, okay, bye.
That's amazing.
I'm going to go with the tail. I love that you can pick any card from discard.
Mm-hmm. Another very powerful. Yes. Could change the game.
I have to be so transparent. I wish I had the cards on me right now because I think the last time I played was a while ago, but I want to say the bomb, but I wish I had the deck with me so I could make sure that that's right.
Where everything is exposed.
Yes.
Yeah, the bomb reveals that's a big one because it makes everyone flip their cards face up. Yes. Which is again very thematic and accurate kind of to what she does. I think you brought the bomb up earlier, Holly. The artwork is so cool, and I just love her as a character because she's kind of diminutive in stature, but like she's a bomb, like she's a huge impact. I just love that kind of juxtaposition. It's really cool. Okay, that was fun. That was fun hearing you guys' thoughts on this. So Holly, let's flip back a little bit back to some of like the businessy stuff. So what was can you talk about we mentioned that you kickstarted this game originally. We are now, of course, working together to bring this a retail distribution to get this in stores worldwide. But the Kickstarter was, well, I'll let you say it, but I think for something you wanted to do for the fans, you wanted to make a game. So can you talk a little bit about that? And what did you like best about crowdfunding the game and maybe what lessons you learned doing that?
I mean, the thing I liked best was really actually getting to kind of talk to people. Like it really was like making something together in the sense that people were really, would really be enthusiastic and, be present in a way that was really interesting. It's not something that I ever got to do before. And, you're so disconnected as a writer from the printing process, from the making of a thing process, that getting to make those decisions, and getting to actually like create a physical object felt really different and fun and tricky because I'd never done it before, but pleasurable. The thing that was hard about it was that, it was just, me and, I have an assistant and I have, and my husband was helping me doing a bunch of graphic design stuff and, doing back of the cards and stuff. But I was doing all the customer service. So I was being like, okay, so you're having trouble with your download. Can you tell me? Like, there was a lot of, which I don't think I realized how much that would be sort of the like 90% of what I would do was just really be like, okay, so in Kickstarter, if you have an Apple ID, you can't get my emails. So how do I get you my emails and stuff? Things I just had no idea about until I was doing it. People will be like, wait, are you Holly? Like, are you? Yes. And I'm like, yes. So let's get back to this tech support.
Yes. I remember seeing that. Yeah. In the comments, it'd be like, wait, am I actually talking to Holly? Yes, this is me. And I mean, fans appreciate that. Like the opportunity, I think, to connect directly with you is such a cool thing for fans. So
they were very generous about, when we would mess something up or we wouldn't know something, they were incredibly kind and, and we tried to fix any problem. We're still out there if you need something.
Yes. Excellent. So what do you hope players feel after playing Enemies and Lovers? Like after the game, they're thinking about it. Maybe it's their first time playing, or maybe it's their 100th time playing. Was there like a certain emotion as you were designing you wanted to kind of capture through the game?
I mean, the adrenaline rush of ruining your friends' days. I think this is a game for people who like their friends, but not too much.
Right. I love that. Yeah. So a fun and safe way to kind of give your friends the business if you want to. And then you can kind of hug it out afterwards and or play again,
Or
and
play
maybe they get you
again.
back. No, I love that. What about the flavor text? Can you talk a little bit about that? Did all the flavor, is that direct excerpts from the book, or is some of that unique for the game? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
For the most part, there's usually a quote and then a little piece of writing for the game itself, sort of explaining who the people are. And that was mostly, it was for readers, so they would, sort of have a little piece of that flavor text, and a little bit like of a reminder from the books, but also for people who didn't know, so they would be like, okay, this is the type of character this is. So let me know something about them so I can enjoy them without having to have read the books. I mean, not that you shouldn't read the books, of course, under all circumstances, people should read them. But in case, they don't want it, that's fine too.
So are there any like hidden references or Easter eggs or literary allusions that fans should keep an eye out for?
Well, in the Van Ryder edition of the game, there is a secret, although we cannot tell you what it is.
This is true. And this is something we came and asked you, Holly, if we could do. This is something we do with all of our games. So it won't, what it is and how it's presented won't be too much of a secret to our fans of us as a publisher. But if you are new to us and you're going to get this, we'll just give you the hint to make sure and look under the plastic insert tray. So there will be a tray I can even show, I guess, a little bit of this. There's going to be a plastic tray with the cards in it. Just make sure you pull that out and look underneath. And that's all we're going to say, because we do keep it as a secret.
But Solenne, yes, you seem to you.
Yes, that was one of the things that I think I did maybe for the first time in an art piece, especially in a project where I sort of I'm doing a take on everything in the whole world. And I was like, let's see what I can sneak in here. Especially mostly just callbacks to things Holly had mentioned, but things that you might not necessarily pick up on initially. The first thing I would say that's like a little Easter egg is if you look on the coffee cup that Vivi's holding in the card, it says Holly's Coffee on it. Because Holly had to be in there somewhere. She had to be in there somewhere. I was going to put her in. And then Vivi actually also on her jacket, her pins have Maddox's sigil hidden in them. So she's wearing a little sword pin. And then her choker has a little drop of blood to reference that she's still Maddox's daughter, even though she wishes she wasn't and she could erase that part of herself. It's still part of her. Yeah, there. Holly will show it.
Yeah.
And then another one I have is Taryn and Oriana, to sort of reference the books. Their color palette reflect each other. So they're both wearing yellow and pinks and sort of flowers in their hair, because Taryn was sort of raised by Oriana. She sort of learned all her manners and like how to be a person in the world of the fairies from her. And so their styles and poses reflect each other a bit to sort of show like, oh, she's taking her styling and inspiration from Oriana. And then I think
very cool.
I just have other little things. The fairy fruit specifically, I sort of got a chance to design a lot of plants for this, which was really fun. Plants that don't exist. And so I was like, okay, let me do some research on what I can do to give these like a basis in reality of plants that we know and recognize, but also give them a fairy twist. So for the golden fairy fruit, is that, for some reason that name doesn't sound right. That's the name.
Everapple?
Everapple. Thank you. I was like, I know there's a real name for it. The Everapple. I took inspiration from apples and Holly's text about them being golden, and trying to make them look irresistibly delicious. But then I also was like, well, let me think about the forbidden fruit, sort of in like Greek mythology, the pomegranate, right? And so it sort of has a pomegranate end, you'll see on the bottom. So I thought that would be fun to include, a little Easter egg. And then I have just other small things that Holly's described, like Heather has ink stains on her fingers like she did in the book. And Holly helped also a lot with like saying, oh, what if we include this little thing that I described? Or like Grimson the Smith, he's holding Taryn's earring, enchanted earring. So things like that. It was really fun.
Yes,
And
those little touches. Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will forever be how I think of fairy fruit now.
Oh,
Like, that is like,
I want to, at this point, I think that was most of my questions. I just want to give each of you a last little bit here. If there's anything else you want to talk about or anything you want to bring up, or if you have any questions, for me on my side, I'll talk a little bit about the box and what we're doing after you guys are done with this part. But I guess this is your chance to talk about things you're working on, other things you're working on, things you want to promote, anything at all.
I know you must be working on a lot of stuff, Solenne, as I know that you're a tough person to get a hold of these days.
Yes. I am working on a lot of cool stuff for authors. I'm actually really grateful for Holly because after her doing her game, I mean, it kind of was like crazy exposure. Now I'm really lucky to be overwhelmed with work. Lots of stuff coming out that with for other authors. So stay tuned.
Awesome. And where can people find you? So if they want to follow you or keep on top of what's going on with Solenne and Frostbite Studios, how can they do that?
Absolutely. My Instagram handle is frostbite.studios. That's also my TikTok handle. And on X, I am Frosted Sparrow.
I have the second and concluding book in a duology for adults. Book of Night was the first one, and Thief of Night comes out in September, and then that is done, which concerns shadow magic. And then I have this coming out this winter. So please tell us more about it.
This is the retail edition of Enemies and Lovers. So we made a few changes from the Kickstarter version. You'll notice if you have the original, this is a much larger box. So we wanted a little larger box for the retail presence. The game itself is going to be the same game you all know and love. If you have it, if you don't, it's going to be the game you will know and love. But it's going to have more space inside. There's going to be room for sleeve cards. Just some of these little enhancements that we've made. So there's some color enhancements and some just clarity enhancements within the rules and the cards that you're going to notice. We have each of the court cards kind of has a different color that goes along with it. For example, attack cards are going to have red text, so it's going to be very clear what is an attack card and what isn't, and more things along those lines. So we wanted to take what Holly's game is and still is, and everything that makes it great, and just maybe make some changes to just be a little more accessible, a little more easier to learn. We have a quick start guide on the back of the rules, for example, and reference cards for each players. So really just trying to take what's already great about it and just make it an amazing product. So look for this coming this fall. We're going to be putting this out into the world. We are planning to pre-release it at the Spiel in Essen, Germany, which I think, Holly, you're going to be able to join us there for a special event. So if you're going to be there, you can come get, one of the first copies of the retail version. You can probably meet Holly if you come at the right time to the booth, and we will definitely share some details as we get closer to that event. It is in October, I believe, the third week of October. You can follow our company and what we're doing. Just go to vanridergames.com and you can join our newsletter. We're definitely going to be making some announcements as per the game as it's coming out, and we get more details on dates and things. We also have on our page, on our website right now, a whole page of questions, right? Like a lot of people who got the Kickstarter version might have questions about, for example, how do I get the secret envelope? We are going to make plans for the Kickstarter backers who already have the original version and maybe just want the new special thing. We're gonna have more updates on that as well. So this has been a blast for me. I loved getting to connect with you guys. I think the fans are just going to absolutely love getting your perspectives on this project and this game and the whole world. And if you don't know, definitely check out the Elfheim novels from Holly. The first one is The Cruel Prince. That's where you want to start. And, you're going to love it and you're going to want to keep going from there. I myself am in the middle of the third book currently, and enjoying every second of it. So it's been awesome. And I hope you guys have a great day, great rest of the year. And I guess I'll see you, Holly, in Essen, if not maybe before, but definitely there. And Solenne, it was a true pleasure. I can't say it enough how amazing the work you do is, and you deserve every success that comes your way.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful getting to meet you.
This was really, really fun. I really appreciate you guys spending some time with me.